All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. And today we're going to be talking about the 2025 Utah State, not Utah State, the school, but the actual state of Utah recruiting rankings. So, and looking at where all the players that are in Utah are going. How's Utah doing? How's BYU doing? How's Utah State doing? Where are these guys going? And I think it'll be a fun topic to take a look at how well is Utah as a school retaining our own guys, but then also how well are the in-state schools doing at retaining our own guys? We have a ton of talent. I'm excited to dive in. I'm excited to talk about it. Before we do, guys, make sure you smash that like button. That's going to help get it out to more Utah fans. Also, comment down below, what do you guys think about this recruiting class? Is Utah as a school doing a great job? Are the different Utah schools doing a great job? Who do you think is the best school right now at retaining talent within the state? I want to know what you're thinking. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that notification bell so you always know when we drop new content. And on that note, let's go ahead and dive in and check out the Utah in-state recruiting rankings. Okay, guys, and I've got it up on the screen here to go ahead and start us off. So, the number one prospect in 2025 was Jerome Miles coming out of Utah, and it really wasn't close. Jerome Miles, a five-star player, number 30 in the country, number 5 at his position, and number 1 in the state of Utah. His grade was a 98. And then next up was Aaron Dunn, who was a 92. Pretty significant gap there, quite a big gap. It was clear that Jerome Miles was the number one player. And there was a time where it really felt like Utah was in the race. Really neck and neck and neck. And Utah, I remember making a bunch of posts. It feels like something happened behind the scenes because it felt like he was going to be a Ute, and then slowly it drifted a different direction. But all the signs were pointing that he was going to go to Utah. So super sad to see him not go there. But I'd also say it's tough with the player of that caliber. The big schools are going to offer big money. You'd like to retain him, but if it doesn't work out, it is what it is with a guy like that. You want to keep him, and I wish we had Jerome Miles, but not shocking to see him go to a school that can load up a dump truck with cash and drop it in your front yard like Texas A&M. Next up, we have Aaron Dunn. And Aaron Dunn, guys, if you're not familiar, Aaron Dunn was actually committed to Utah for a little while. So Aaron Dunn commits to Utah. So he commits to Utah on August 8th. And then he stays committed to Utah for a little over 2 months. October 17th, he decommits from Utah and then commits to USC the very next day. Tough hit there. I'd say just kind of back to back there. Aaron Dunn isn't quite the same caliber as a Jerome Miles, right? Like probably at least projection wise, not the same level of difference maker, but still a very good player. And I was excited when Utah got him. I thought that was a big pickup. And he was in Spanish Fork, which is where I own a home, and soft spot for me. I wish we would have kept that kid. Sad to lose out to USC. Again, another school that can load up the dump truck and put it on your front lawn full of cash. So sad to lose that guy, but not crazy bad. Then we've got Cyrus Polu out of St. George, Utah. He's actually come on the channel and done an interview. So if you guys get a second later on, check out that interview. Great kid, fun to talk to. He's committed to Utah, the number 225 player nationally, the second to last of the 4-star prospects out of Utah. And so awesome for Utah to get a 3-star player at the linebacker position, which can be a very tough position to recruit, but it is a position Utah develops really well. So we tend to bring in a lot of talent. So the thing to point out here is of the top 3 players in the state, Utah was only able to get one of them, and only one of them is actually staying in the state, period. Right. It's only one guy in of the top 3, actually the top 4. You can see the next guy is going to be going to Stanford, is even staying in Utah. So that's pretty wild there. Let's go ahead and move down. We have Nusi Tamoe Peao. That's probably not even close. Let's be real, but I'm just giving it a shot. He's going to Stanford. Stanford, it's a really good academic school, very high academic standards, and not a great football school for a while now. They've been struggling football wise, so I'm gonna take a shot that that's a little more academic based. Why he's choosing Stanford rather than football related. So it's a tough one to keep there, but sucks that only one of our four stars are going to stay in state. At least of the one 4-star that is staying in state, it is going to Utah. So that's a bright side for Utah fans. Then we've got Austin Pay here, the number 5 player in Utah. We are not showing him nationally ranked, but he's number 39 at the offensive tackle position. And he's going to BYU, 6'7", 295 pounds. So of the top 5 players, 2 of them are staying in Utah. One for Utah and number 3 Cyrus Polo, and one for BYU and number 5 BYU. Darius Afalava, interior offensive lineman. I remember it was close to Utah getting this guy as well, but he wound up going with Oklahoma. Oklahoma, another program that does have a lot of investment, a lot of money to invest into football. Next up, we've got Carson Kafusi. Carson Kafusi, defensive lineman, 6'4", 252 pounds, 88 grade. The number 7 player in the state going to Utah. So that's good to see that he is staying home and staying in state. You take a look there, you gotta like what you're seeing there. Very promising player, very promising prospect in Carson Kafusi. NFL high level bloodline. So very, very good there. To keep Carson Kafusi in state and keep him at the U. Ben Howard is going to Skyridge. Ben Howard, actually, funny enough, he is a guy I've worked with. It's his son. I was really hoping we could pull off Ben Howard and get him committed to Utah, but he's committing to Cal and going out of state. As we get to the end of the top 10 here, then I'm going to recap and look at how many of these guys are staying in Utah. Tyler Payne, linebacker. He's going to BYU as well. BYU can be a good school for linebackers as well. So you see there. Then Bear Tenney, a guy I love the tape. I was, very excited when I was watching his tape and did not have to reach very far to find good things to say about this kid. He's staying in Utah and going to the U. Very exciting prospect, big physical tight end, guys, coming out of high school. He's 6'5.5", 255 pounds. You get him in the weight room, you get him up to 270. This is a guy that could easily be a starter at tight end year 1, year 2. He's got that type of size, that type of frame. So very exciting there. Now let's go ahead and recap the top 10 here. You can see Jerome, Aaron Dunn, Cyrus Polu, Nusi Tampao, however you say that, Austin Pay, Darius Afalava, Carson Kafusi. Then we have Ben Howard, Tyler Payne, Bear Tenney. And let's go ahead and see how many of these guys are staying in Utah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the top recruits in Utah are staying in Utah. I'd give that probably a C plus B grade for the in-state schools, especially considering only one of the top 4 players is staying in Utah. You'd like to see Utah and BYU get more aggressive and retain their talent. We keep going down the list here. If we add in the next 3 guys, Brian Tapu is heading to Nebraska. Tani Makasini is heading to BYU, and Nick Hollick, offensive tackle, is heading to Utah. That would put, of the top 13 players, 7 of the top 13 staying in Utah. That's a pretty good look. You go down a little ways, we get to the lower end of the prospects in Utah. Not low end, but guys outside of that top 15. You got some BYU, some Utah State, some out of state. A lot of Utah State as you get a little farther down the list. And then Utah's got a kicker down here. That's why he's ranked as low as he is, but that's because he's a kicker. So that is kind of where we are. 7 of the top 13 guys staying in Utah, but only one of the top 4 players and the 4-star prospects staying in the state. 2 of the top 6. So I'll give you guys my final thoughts in a second, but that is how the in-state recruiting for Utah at BYU and Utah State went this year. Okay, guys. So final thoughts on the Utah in-state recruiting situation. So I'll kind of call out both schools where Utah and BYU are the premier schools in Utah, right? At least the schools that are in P4 conferences. I believe Utah is more of the premier school in Utah for football, but BYU had a good year. I'd like to see them get more than two of the top five players in Utah, right? And only two of the top six as well. You'd like to see a more aggressive push there. Now, I will also bring up the fact that both schools do also recruit out of state and do pick up good players out of state. But Utah is a great football state. There is a lot of really good players that come out of Utah. And I think locking up that Utah prospect pool is so important for both schools, right? That it's the norm to pick one of the two big Utah schools to go to. I will also give Utah State a shout out. They did a good job with getting that next tier of players. You look from 35 to 20 to 17. They have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, almost and then to 38 they've got 8 players, so 17 to 38 they have 8 players. It's almost half the players from 17 to 38, so they're doing a good job picking up that next tier of schools. So I think the number one criticism I would have and the number one hope I would have moving forward is that Utah specifically can really do a better job of getting that top tier talent to stay in Utah. We were really close with a lot of those guys, and I know that we are striving to get those guys, but I think that should be a strong focus. It's a tough world as a NIL discussion where how much do you invest in recruits coming out of high school and how much do you invest in guys for the transfer portal, because those transfer portal guys can make immediate impact where the prospects coming out of high school can be more of a projection. So it can be a tough situation. But either way, I think Utah and all the Utah based schools are doing a decent job with in-state talent, but I'd give it like a C plus overall. I think we could do a lot better a job, especially with that top tier talent. So I'd love to see that. Smash the like button, guys, and let me know your thoughts. Are you frustrated as a Utah, BYU, or Utah State fan? How much of our talent is leaving the state? What can we do about it? Give me your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. I'm out of here. Go Utes.